So if you're just tuning in and you're jumping on this recording, you're not going to know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm totally cool with that. The fact that that has you emotionally challenged a little bit, Tiffany, just is a testimony to your character and who you are. And I am truly grateful for all that you have given of yourself so freely. And I'm very sad. I'm not disappointed. I'm sad. I'm excited for you because I knew this is coming. We actually talked about this. So when I first hired Tiffany, I actually have an exit interview that I do, and I'm going to challenge everybody. If you're hiring an administrator, you're hiring an agent as a business partner, which is awesome. You're building your business. I want you to have an exit interview the day of hiring, and it looks something like this. So at some point in the future, we're going to part ways. You're going to outgrow what I have to offer. However, during that time, I'm going to ask of you to contribute, to be part of this, but I have a responsibility to you. What can I give you that will allow you to, in effect, leave and leave with success? Where do you want to grow and how can I help you get there? Well, Tiffany said she wanted to grow a real estate business, so we made her get a real estate license. We forced her into, I don't know, learning every day because she had to be here for it. She started applying it. She took on coaching. She's grown her business, grown her team, done everything she's supposed to do. And in fact, she is really about 7 to 9 months behind when she should have left. And I don't mean that as a negative. I'm simply saying I've watched your business continue to engage. And you last spring and summer, you were pretty busy. It was challenging pulling you in, which is perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for. So this was an inevitability. Luckily, we have a partner in crime, Joe DeMesa, who is a little more silent, but will be able to help us with some of the technical things. And we'll figure out how to do housekeeping alone. The after parties will turn over. All right. So anyway, Tiffany,
And
God
can
bless
I
you.
just say one last thing, guys?
Yeah.
Thankfully, one of the best parts about this growth in my business is that it is all Sphere and database. All of it. I'm not fluffing. I'm not lying. Over the past 3 years, I haven't closed a single paid lead. Not at all of them. All of my deals, Sphere, agent referral, past clients, repeat clients, that's it. So when I say get into your database, I mean it. Pay attention to what George has to say. Okay. So get ready to take notes.
Please do. And while we're doing that, I'm going to drop in the chat. Maybe. That's not it. All right, I got to figure out how to do this, Tiffany. We'll do it in a couple minutes. I'm going to put in the chat in a couple minutes. I'll take a break and let you guys know what or give this to you. What we're going to cover today is we're covering your database. We're going to cover it at nauseum. Before we get started, every other week, we are going to do database. We're going to continue to do that for the months of January, February, and March, and then we'll figure out something else. What I want to do is I want to be able to provide you with something that you can literally copy and paste and put into whatever platform you use. I have it formulated for GPS, let me try that again, for KV Core, simply because I use that. And the things that we're going to talk about that you're going to have at your disposal every week are literally copy paste, put it into KV Core, send it to every single person there. They're not buyer agnostic. They're not seller agnostic. They are to your sphere of influence. We're going to give you something that creates an expertise that you are the curator of information that's relevant. That's the goal. All right. I want you to put this on your schedule. Make sure that Mondays are on your calendar for database, and the every other Monday, just as so you're aware, we're going to be focusing on emerging agents, and that's really anybody that's sold 0 to 20 transactions. Not somebody who's trying to build a real estate team, but somebody who's building their own business. That's going to be every other Monday, and it'll be an emerging agent. You'll see it Monday morning, and y'all are getting yesterday at midnight on Sunday. My bad, I didn't put the PM. At 12 o'clock every Sunday will be an update for what's coming the week following. This week, we have a mega agent that'll be this Thursday. We're going to be interviewing her. Her name is Jenny Weimer. She went from single agent to a team and a brokerage of around 60 agents at this point. She happens to be an incredibly great friend of mine. But that's not really relevant to the conversation because I didn't ask her to be on the call on Thursday at 1 o'clock. She's just an amazing business person, and she's really good at putting the right people on the bus. She's not a CEO. She doesn't run a business. From her own admission, she's like all over the place, but she's got people around her and she builds culture. You want to be on that call Thursday afternoon. It is a game changer as far as how to go from zero through. As a funny side note, Jenny and I hired our first assistant together in 2004. We literally said, well, we're afraid of it. So we hired one together. She's going to cover a lot of that. I'm not interviewing her. I'm just going to be listening because she's a great friend. But this is a call for anybody who is eventually going to build a team. Put that on your calendar. That's Thursday at 1 o'clock. You'll get the reminders. All right. Today is about organizing your database. So what we're going to do is I'll give you everything you need for your database. It's going to be available for you. In fact, let me figure out how to do this right now. Tiffany, hang tight. I'm going to ask you database, cut that, save. Let's see if I can drop that in the chat for everybody. And this works. All right, so that'll show up in just a second. It's database 129, 2024 class item of value. Tiffany, would you please do me a favor and drop that into the daily downloads, which is on the very first page of the GPS Global Partners. You'll be able to copy and paste everything in here, the links and everything, the text, the image, everything you need for your database is going to be there to send that out. Let's get started on organizing your database, though, because that's the topic of conversation today before we get to the free stuff. Every one of us has a database somewhere, some way, some shape. There's a really good chance that some of you have your database on your phone. Now, while that's a good place to have them, that's not where they should be. You're going to want to put them into some form of CRM, contact management resources, whatever CRM stands for, I don't even know. Some way to keep them all in one place. Now, the big challenge when you dump everybody in there, and there's some people, do me a favor, hit it in the chat. If you have over 500 people in your database, just put in the chat a yes or raise your hand or give me a thumbs up just so I know. 500 people that are in your database that you have, and you're like, holy crap, what am I going to do with these people? Okay. If you don't, that's actually a good thing. It's okay that you don't. So don't think that that's wrong. Appreciate that. Thank you. Jay, I know you do. Good to see you, DeFalco. I got two. I got Jay and Nikki on the call. That's awesome. Love you both. Folks.
Question. Sorry,
yes,
George, question. I'm looking for the file in our drive, just by name. What's the name of it again? Because I don't see it in the chat myself.
It should be coming in. It's database. I'll email it to you.
Thank you. Sorry, guys. I want to get it off onto the daily download, and that way I can continually drop it into the chat for friends that are popping in.
Bear with me a second, folks. This is important because this is something that you deserve. So we want to make sure you have it. There we go. Word doc. Tip, it's sent without a title, and it should be in the. Oh, I forgot to hit enter. So now it's in the chat too. Sorry about that, guys.
I see it there.
More pretty than smart. Organizing your database is mission critical. So I want you guys to consider, let's say we've got this database of 2,000 people. Okay, so at a minimum in the database I use, which is KV Core because it's free and I'm a big fan of free, I either have them tagged as buyer or seller because you can do that. You can select whether they're buyer, seller, vendor, agent is the other option as well. So obviously buyer or seller qualifies for anybody that we're really doing real estate with would be a buyer or seller. You have to determine what they are, or they may be both, which is perfectly okay as well. But that gives you the ability to send something specific to your buyer, something specific to your seller. At a minimum, that's the first thing you're going to be doing is organizing them in buyer or seller. Now that doesn't require a hashtag, that requires how they are set up. I'll show you what I mean by that because I think it's relevant. I'm using KV Core as our example just because it is one that we have that's free. We go to our CRM, all of our contacts, and I'll show you what I mean very quickly. Basic, simple 101. And while this pulls up, because it does take a second to populate everybody, I hope I'm not embarrassing whoever this is. You'll notice that on the bottom here, this is going to be hard to see if you're driving, but once you open up the name of somebody, it says buyer, seller, renter, vendor, or agent. Well, Veronica is actually a real estate agent. and she's a business partner of us. Veronica, if you're on the phone or on the call, I am throwing your name out for everybody to see and your contact information. But it breaks down. This is our hashtag section that I currently use. Now, I wanted to show you the buyer or seller part because that's kind of relevant. What we're creating for you that you have for free every other week that you can send out to them incorporates information that's good for buyer and seller always. It's going to be something that goes to everybody in your database. So you don't have to segregate your database for what we're giving you. Send it to everybody, do a little bit of editing on your own, and we'll cover that shortly. Now, once you have that squared away and you have them either buyer or seller, the basics, we probably want to identify a little bit different. So pay attention to this because this part's important. You've got a database of 2,000 people, okay? Realistically, there's something called the Perdido effect. It's the 80-20 rule that everybody's heard of. 80% of them, chances are you don't know, you wouldn't recognize. You can send them emails, but to really have an intelligent conversation with them, one where you can kind of relate to them, chances are that's not going to happen. I would actually challenge everybody to consider that realistically, there's probably 100 to maybe 200 maximum, and it's okay if it's only 35 people, by the way, that you actually know, like, and want to communicate with on a regular basis. Now, that 2,000 people, we're going to send this to on a every other week. I'm going to give you what to send, and I'm going to send it out. Where you can send it out very easy. Copy, paste, a little bit of editing, gone. But we want to identify your real preferred people. This is important. I want you guys to concentrate on that. Imagine if you could start going through this database of 2,000 people and just look at it. Literally, just start at the very top and say, oh my God, I don't know them. I don't know them. I've never talked to them. I don't know them. And you go through this, and they're, oh, I know them. They're good friends of mine. They're like, Mateo, you're on the call. I'm going to say Mateo. Mateo's a good friend of mine. I know Mateo. I know about him. If I saw him on my database, I say, yes, that's somebody that I like, that I'm involved with. He's a friend of mine. I relate to him. If you're going through that process, just picking those people out and then giving them some form of nomenclature, some form of tag in EXP, or excuse me, in KV Core, we use hashtags. So if I'm going through and I see Mateo in my database, because he's on my phone or whatever, I put him in my KV Core and I would give him a hashtag of either Sphere or COI, which stands for Center of Influence. He's somebody that's important to me. More important than that, he's somebody that I actually know. I know him, we've talked, we've communicated. I consider him a good acquaintance, or well, he's actually a friend, but I would consider him a good acquaintance. I want to narrow that 2,000 down to a smaller group of really my most important people. Now, if you've got thousands and thousands of people in your database, your job is going to be more challenging because you're going to have to bring that group of 4,000 people down to your top 100 or even 150. And I'm going to challenge everybody to kind of shoot for 100. If you don't have 100, we're going to build to it. If you've got thousands, go down to 100, your top 100. Normally, they'll have to pass what I call the grocery store test. That means if you saw them, you're walking down the main aisle of the grocery store, you look down an aisle, you run down, you're either going to run away from them because you don't know them, you recognize them, but you don't know their name, or you go down and you have a conversation. The ones you have a conversation with are probably going to make it. These are people that are going to potentially give you real estate business, or they're going to potentially give you referrals. This database, thank you, Tiffany. The daily download is now in there. And again, we're going to cover that in a minute. This database is the people that you're going to focus most of your daily energy on. And that energy is only going to be about 30 minutes a day. So we're not talking about a lot of time. The biggest challenge is organization. Now, what we cover with our database, we talked about this last week. We went through it. We're going to talk about it a little bit this week, but this is really the organizational portion of it. I want to challenge you this week to go through your database. And I want you to identify, by just giving them a hashtag of COI or a hashtag of Sphere, the top 100 people. If you have to go to 200, that's totally okay. That's the minimum standard. We want to know who gets really our attention. Now, once you determine that top 100 or 200 people, or in my case, the top 35, we need to separate that down, and this is the really big deal. We've got that huge. Think of when you go trick-or-treating and you bring the pillowcase, you throw it over your shoulder, you got all this candy. But the truth is you only like Almond Joy and you only like Mounds. So those get separated into a special place where you keep them. But some days you feel like a nut and some days you don't. So you don't want to always eat a mixture. You want to identify what they're doing. What I'm trying to say is we're going to take that top 100, 50, 200, and we're going to separate those into bite-sized pieces. They're all going to get the hashtag centers of influence. I'll show you what I'm going to do with this. This will make it easier for you. You'll understand the dynamic of this very easily. So I have, let's say in this, I have my entire, we're going to pretend that these are everybody I've selected. And I've got, let's say 100 people here. What I can do is I can mass sort all of them, go to more actions, add hashtag. So as you're going through, click on the people that you like that are in your database and select the ones. Now, if I'm going through and this is my big list, I'm going to say, well, definitely Veronica and Priscilla and Aaron and Kara. And I'll go through and then I'll come back up to the top. You can change this to 250 people. And I'm going to say more actions, add a hashtag. Type in here, if you have it on one person, you can do it, COI, you'll see it populate down below, and then you can click on it, and it'll apply that to them. Now, you can set this up. This is hard to see, but it's 250 rows. There's options 10, 20, 50, 100, 250. I encourage you to go with 250, and then scroll through your database and just create centers of influence. Just tag the ones that are your COIs, or if you prefer, your sphere. Now, there's a filter system here. This is just basic stuff. You can clear the filter system. And in doing so, it's going to repopulate. And then in this filter system, and I'll show you exactly how to do this in just a second. Once it populates, I'm going to type in hashtag COI because that's what I use. Now remember, I just hashtagged, I gave a lot of them hashtag right there. So I'll go hashtag COI. Select it. Search it. Now it's going to search. Now I've got all the stuff out and all I have is my centers of influence. This is where it gets really easy, but it's going to take you about 20 or 30 minutes to do this as they populate. Now you'll notice in just a second, I hope that it'll populate through. What I'm doing is I'm searching by that hashtag. We're just going to wait for it to come back around because this is the part that makes it simple for you to do this next step, which is really the most important step. Okay, great. So it's giving me an issue. Hang tight. Gotta let it populate first. While that's doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in there hashtag COI because I've given everybody that I really like that passed the grocery store test the hashtag of COI. In doing so, what I'm going to do then is I'm going to further sort them. So let's see if I can get this to work for me real quick and I'll show you what it looks like in just a second.
Hey, George.
Yes, sir.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm not going to be long. So just to clarify, COI, grocery store test, SOI, people we know.
Same thing. Center of influence, sphere, COI, whatever you call them. I call them COI, and you'll see why in just a second, because it really makes it easier for me to be able to organize them. You may use whatever you choose. It doesn't matter, but this is your group of your preferred people, the people that are probably they're friends of yours, that are the most special to you. And that's basically your mission. Interesting. For whatever reason, my KV Core is not working at high level, so I'm going to forget about it for a couple seconds. I'll come back to it later. Now what I'll do is I'll search for them by filters of hashtag COI, and that will populate everybody I just sorted out. And I can show you how that works at this point. Now I want to change those, or I want to add to those, and I'm pretending that these are my hashtag, my sorted COIs. You can go into filters, and I'll show you that in just a second. So right here, I'm going to go down to the hashtags section, which opens up when you're clicking inside of somebody.
George, we don't have KV. We've got your screen, your computer screen.
Oh, thanks.
Least I could do, buddy. Technology, huh?
How about that?
There you go. Yep.
All right. So I'm inside of this first person. That's all part of my centers of influence. And I go into where the hashtags are, right here. and I'm going to type in 01 COI. You see how it populates down below? That means it's already registered. So I put that in there, and that's 01 COI. No, I'm going to take it out because she's not part of that. Then I click on the next button. Remember, all of these are my COI. These are all my big bucket of centers of influence, my best 100 people. I click the next, and in here, 02 COI. There it is. I populate it. Again, I'm deleting it just because this is it. I click next, next, next until I get through all of them. What I'm doing is I am setting them up so they have days of the month. Today is the 29th. There's nobody for me to call today. On the first of the month, I would call my 01 COIs. Now, I'm going to have conversations with everybody at least once a month. Now, I'm also sending them emails, and we're going to have to the email we're sending out. That's the first part. It's already done for you. You're all set. It's a piece of cake. But every day of the month, I take a look at my database and I type in 01, 02, 03, 026, 027, 028. And by the way, when you're going through this, when you get to 0 or when you get to 28 COI, the next one would be 01 COI. And it's important you put in the 0 first, the hashtag 01 COI. Otherwise, if you put in 1 COI, everybody 1, 11, 17, everything else will follow in. 01 is what you need to do. Trust me on this one. I found that out the hard way. I had to go redo them all. Now I have the ability to have a conversation with everybody that is part of my sphere of influence. And I also know that that's the day I'm going to engage with them in social media. Now, last week we touched on this, and I'll pass this on to you guys real quickly so you get it. For every 12 people in your database, you should receive 2 transactions. One is a repeat and referral business, and the other is, or excuse me, a repeat business where they're going to buy or sell something based on people move every 10 years. Well, in fact, people move every faster than that. Bottom line is, one is a business with you, and the other is a referral. Referrals do not happen unless people trust you and know that you care. They will not know that you don't, or they will not know that you care unless you invest time in a relationship with them. And it's impossible to invest time in a relationship with 2,000 people. You just can't do that. Okay, I think we all got that pretty squared away. You can invest time with 100 people. It comes out to just about 3 people a day that you need to call and have a conversation with them about them and let them know that they actually matter and that you're interested in them and their family and what they're doing and their life. It is not a real estate related phone call. Your biweekly emails are. Your monthly postcards, which we will cover in 2 weeks, are. And by the way, the template's already made. All you have to do is put your picture in it. And I'll even show you who to send it out with so it's easy to do. I just want it organized for you. So when you get to that point, you can say, I know exactly what to do for my phone call. I know who I have to call on a weekly basis or a daily basis. And it comes down to really about 3 people a day. Show of hands, there's actually, I could see a few people in here. If you're part of my sphere of influence, you're getting a call from me and you don't know when it's going to happen, but I do. My family is actually in there as 07 COI, and it's because I need to make sure I remember to call my family. I'm that forgetful. Think about it from your database, though. So let's talk about what that phone call looks like. If you are like me and you have not spoken to them for a while, it is almost always an apology call initially. Okay. And I'll leave it to you guys to mastermind on this one after we're all said and done. But here's basically how I do the call. If I'm calling somebody, Steve, I'm going to role play with you if you wouldn't mind. So definitely put your mic on at this point. This is a call. Now, Steve was not a past client, but I've known Steve. We were friends. We used to work in the restaurant business together. I like him. He is still a very influential person in the restaurant business. But I haven't talked to him in about 3 years. So the phone rings, ring, ring.
Yes, hello?
Hey, Steve, it's George Philbeck from, God, forever ago, man. Do you remember who I am?
George, I do. Long time no talk.
Well,
How are
listen, I'm great. I gotta tell you, I'm glad you remember, and obviously, why wouldn't you? I mean, you and I were really, really close. When I switched out of the restaurant business and then got into real estate, the bottom line is the world got
Well,
so
no.
busy and I forgot what's important. And the truth is I saw you on Facebook and what you're doing with your family, the fact that you guys were going skiing and your name popped up on my phone. I took that as just a sign from God that I needed to call and apologize. I owe you an apology. I consider you a very good friend of mine, but I just have not been a good friend because I was so busy trying to put my life in order. And I just wanted to say I'm really sorry. And I think you're awesome. And I miss talking to you.
Absolutely. George, no need to apologize, man. That's okay. Thank you for reaching out.
Well, it's my pleasure. I felt compelled. Anyway, I saw you guys were skiing over the holidays. Everything good?
Yes, we did not break a leg.
Oh,
Everything was good.
glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. All right, brother. Well, listen, I promise I'll be in touch more. I was just really interested in sending love your way. Love that you and the family were skiing. I'm bringing up something about what I noticed on social media, by the way. And I hope we talk more. I miss you as a friend. I really do.
Absolutely. I appreciate you reaching out, George. And
All right.
yeah, stay in touch more often.
Yeah, for sure. Bye now. So, Steve, if that were actually true, what kind of emotions would you have from a call like that?
I mean, emotions. I mean, I would be thankful knowing that we were close. You know what I mean? And that you started off with the apology for not staying in touch. I mean,
But,
I mean, it comes
truthfully,
across.
it's kind of weird that I just called out of the blue, right? I mean, we haven't talked in a while, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Right.
But I mean, I did apologize, which is cool. And I took ownership for why we hadn't spoken, right?
Correct.
Okay. Let's go forward. All right. And we're going to finish kind of with this. I just want to give you guys this. And it's almost always an ownership for not communicating that it was our fault, almost always on purpose. Now, I want that to sit inside of you for a month or so and just kind of hang out and you know about this. And all of a sudden the phone rings again. Now, remember, this has been a month. What had happened? You may have mentioned to Laura, said, I got a really cool call today. You may not have, but either way, now we're going to fast forward it more a month later down the road. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Steve, it's George. How are you, man?
George, how are you?
Hey,
Good.
I'm great. I'm great. Listen, I just saw on social that your daughter won an award. That is so cool, man. I congratulations. How are you and Laura doing?
I appreciate you pointing that out. Yeah, it was a big deal for her. So,
I'll bet.
you know, that means a lot, you reaching out. Everybody as well. What about you guys?
Oh, everybody's great. Family's good. We're, just kind of muddling through. Sick of the cold weather. But seriously, so what did you guys do to get her to that level? Because I mean, obviously it wasn't just, by herself. I mean, what kind of schedule does she have to be the gymnastic best gymnast in Osceola County?
Well, right coach, right mentor, and she's regimented. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Hey,
She
do me
loves
a
it.
favor, pass on to Laura as well. How amazing that is. I had to call and tell you, I was just really blown away. Listen, anything you need, anything I can help with?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's good to hear from you again. We're all
It's always
good.
good to talk to you. As I said, friendship is the most important thing. So that's kind of the thrust of the conversation. And it's much more conversational and much more valid the second call. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Too pushy, right? You wouldn't inject anything real estate related in there too
Actually, I
soon.
was hoping you'd bring something up. If you said real estate, I said, you know what, Steve, this is actually a personal call. I'll be back in the office in about an hour, put my real estate hat on. I can definitely give you a call back when I'm kind of in real estate mode. Do you have something real estate related that you need to speak about?
Understood. No, it can wait. Call me when you get back to the office.
Yeah, no worries. I will. Give me a call, but this is personal. This isn't business. So I don't want to muddy the two because there's a big difference in my mind between the two of them. I'll give you a shot in about an hour, and then whatever you need, I'll have everything in front of me I can help with. I was really just wanting you to pass on to Laura how proud I am, how cool or how proud she must be, and how awesome it is that your daughter has accomplished so much. That's just really cool.
No, that's good. Yeah.
So I'm going to deflect. Folks, first things first, you absolutely need to get your database where you've got all these thousands of people. You've got to put them into a bite-sized package, which is your centers of influence, or into a big package, which is your centers of influence. It can be 50 people. It could be 100 people. Here's the trick. Every day, if you only have 3 people to call and you say, I can call 4, add somebody. Do the same thing. add them and give them that day's centers of influence hashtag. So they're a COI, which is that whole big group, and then they're 02, whatever day it is you're working on, 02 COI. And then every month you've got it when you're going to reach out to them. Here's a little high-level tip. If I am prospecting somebody and meaning that they're going to be buying or selling shortly, I give them 2 hashtags. So I reach out to them twice a month at a minimum. They also get letters, emails from me at least twice a month. Plus they get very specific ones because they're either buyer or seller. Do y'all remember us talking about Google Alerts? Because this is so important. If you go to google.com/alerts, you can set up alert. I'm going to share this because this is mission critical. Here is where I get all the information that I send out to everybody. /alerts. If you go to google.com in your Google account, so this is my George at Sosa Philbeck account, you have your Google Alerts, and you can type in everything. Now, this is hard for everybody to read, but I'll tell you, the first one is GPS Global Partners. I want to know if that name ever comes up in Google because Google spiders search everything. But it also real estate breaking news, real estate agent growth. I have Paul Saperstein in here just because I don't want to miss awards that he gets because he's just unbelievably cool. And it's important to me to capture those. Folks, Google Alerts gives you the information. In fact, what we're going to cover next, which is your free stuff that you can literally put into play right now, came from Google Alerts. I get that every single day, and then I save that into, in my case, it's my notes on my Mac because I use a Mac, not a PC. You can put it in Evernote, whatever. And I save the article, so I've got my updates for what I'm going to talk about when it comes down to every couple of weeks. Now, I'll be pulling them for you, so you don't need to worry about it, but you may want to do specific, like I have in there, Orlando new developments, because I live in Orlando. And you may be in Duluth, Minnesota. So yours may be Duluth, Minnesota, new real estate developments or new communities or what's happening. It doesn't matter. You can even go into communities like Cypress Springs is a 1,500 home community that I focus on. So I have a Cypress Springs alert. It is exactly called Cypress Springs, Orlando. So anything that happens inside of there, I get a notification every morning. Let's go to what we're sending to our database today. Now, before we do, we covered how to take this huge database and bring it down into a group of people that have the highest probability of, you know who they are, they know who you are, you want to speak to them, they are potentially going to be involved in real estate in the future with you, or they can refer you. Remember this part. People will not refer somebody unless they trust the person they're referring to. People will not refer somebody unless they trust you. This is what you have to pay attention to. Trust means that you care. You won't listen to what I say. You won't listen to these conversations unless you know that I truly, truly care about you succeeding. And I do. I really do. But the same token, when I'm talking, as I was role-playing with Steve, I'm interested in his family. I'm interested in his well-being. I'm not interested in just getting a sale. By the way, everybody here, stop using, this is criminal. Everybody uses my past clients. We're the only industry that says past clients. They are continuing clients for life. Thank you, Steve. I stole that from you. There are clients forever. But change your nomenclature on this because they're not our past clients. They are clients forever. So you've got your centers of influence. You've identified them now as your CO01, COI, 02, all the way through 28 COI. Those are the days of the month. Your job is to call them with the apology call that we just did or with an engagement call, which means you probably need to search them on social media, see what they're doing. We have an agent partner of ours. Her name is Chris Dobbs. She is absolutely brilliant. And I would strongly encourage you guys to find her on Instagram. She goes to the gym every morning at like 3 in the morning and works out. And she's got that. But I was watching one that was fantastic. She was actually doing an Instagram, whatever they call Instagram, where she was on a paddleboard when it's cold out. She's wearing a jacket and she's on the water balancing, fishing. And I'm like, all right, that's just fascinating. But I know it. So I would call. I said, Chris, what were you thinking? I mean, that is just nuts. You are fishing when if you fall in, you are getting wet and sick. and you're going to try and reel in a fish while you're on this paddleboat? How do you do that? That was something she shared on social media. So she's obviously interested in it or passionate about it. So having a conversation and asking her about it is going to be engaging with her and show that I'm actually interested. If somebody's not interested in you, you cannot trust them. I would also take this one step further. I want you guys to consider that, and this is the truth. You can have a conversation with a person and speak only about them and ask them questions and continue to be interested and listen intently to what they're saying. And they will think you are the most interesting person in the world, regardless of if you share anything at all about yourself. Anybody on the call, can anybody validate that so that we get another person saying that's probably the truth? Has anybody experienced that before? This is important. I want you guys to get how powerful this is. Okay. Trust me on this one. I guarantee. I had a conversation with somebody, and well, I was talking to somebody who was having a conversation with my old boss. They said he's the most interesting person ever. I love talking to him. His name's Kelly. So really, what's he do? Because I knew they didn't know him. They just met him. I mean, besides the fact that he was incredibly good looking, which nobody really liked, at least I didn't. He was way too charming for his own good. But the bottom line is, he was talking to this person and they're like, oh, he's interesting. I said, what does he do for a living? So you know what? I don't know. I said, well, do you know where he lives? I don't. Oh, well, what do you know about him? He's interesting. I really like talking to him. I felt like we had a connection because he was talking about them. And that is what everybody is interested in. Think about this, guys. If I have a conversation with you, and I do a lot of talking on these, but if I keep asking you questions about what you're doing, and I'm just going into it, I'm like, Mia, tell me more about your family. Tell me about what's going on. I mean, I want to know. And she goes in and she starts elaborating on it. I said, oh my God, that's so cool. And then what? I just, you're right here, Mia, so I picked on you. Sorry. I mean, it wasn't a bad thing. It was a good thing. The thing is, if I'm genuinely interested in somebody, they feel good. And that's a big part of trust. Now you have this whole group that you can take into bite-sized pieces, and your job is 3 or 4 days a week, or your job is to talk to 3 or 4 people at the most and give them that good feeling, to make them feel good. Let them know that you care, that you're interested, that they're important. That is database. And you'll be amazed what happens. First off, you're going to feel great. I talk about this every time when I finish a call. Tell somebody you love them, that they matter, that they're important. You're going to change somebody's lives. If you did that 3 or 4 times a day, if that was your job, your biggest job was to change somebody's view on themselves by making sure they knew that they were important, you would change lives, but more importantly, or equally as importantly, your business would blow up. All right. Let's get to the free stuff. Now this, if you go to the GPS Global Partners, gpsglobalpartners.com, the bottom left-hand side of it is the daily download. It is written for you. It is already done and ready to go. And I am going to show you exactly what that looks like. So I found this article, and here's the quick summary for you. So we're going to go through this pretty quickly. This is an article that I got from my Google Alerts. And housing market map, Zillow just issued a big revision to its 2024 home price forecast. Okay, so this URL up here is what I copied. And this URL is copied. It's actually right here. In this document. That's the actual text for the URL. So I went through this article. I'm like, you know what? This is kind of interesting. I like this graphic right here. I'm going to put that graphic into my KV Core. But before I do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to ChatGPT, and there's a prompt. This prompt, by the way, is right here. ChatGPT prompt. Summarize this article into 3 paragraphs, with the middle paragraph being a maximum of 250 characters, and also include in between the paragraphs a 3 to 5 bullet point summary of the most relevant points of the article. Write it in a warm yet professional tone without fancy words. Make it informative and supportive, and write it as if you were a real estate agent communicating with their clients of both buyers and sellers. Here's the article link, and I pasted the link there. Now, sometimes you actually have to copy and paste the actual text where it won't register the link. It's protected. But in this case, I was able to do so. And here's what it said. Now, I came up with a title, which you have now, which is, wow, Zillow just changed their tune about the market. Okay, the whole purpose behind the title is not to give them an answer, it's called hook. I want them to want to read it. Oh my God, I know Zillow, that's relevant. They changed their thing. What did they change it to? What does that mean? So in there, I said I came up with it. I'm getting better at writing those, I hope. This is the article that it wrote. The article below provides an overview of Zillow's prediction for the housing market in 2024, focusing on the expected trends of home prices. And it's different than what they previously thought. Now, I added that part because I wanted to do a doubt drop on Zillow. I wanted them to not think that Zillow's great. They previously predicted in November of 2022 the prices would drop 1%, but now changed that to prices increasing 3 to 4%. This highlights the factor that it's likely to influence the trends, offering insights. This is an image you can copy and paste and upload into your KV Core. Literally simply click on the image and then save it. Save as a picture. Beside the image or down below it, we've been saying this all along, the prices won't drop in 4, and Zillow finally changed it. They're saying they're not, that's not to say that they're agreeing it's critical. It's just that they look at the nationwide and we look at our individual markets. Here are the bullet points that were in there. There's another section of information I put in there, and I take all that information and I put it into my KV Core template. This is a template I have saved. If you decide that you want to take this download that I created for everybody, this one, you'll notice that up on the very top of this, how to build an evergreen search, how to create a master email template in KV Core, how to add an article and text into KV Core, and how to schedule your auto emails, which we're not going to cover today. We covered that before. So this was it. I have this saved as my template. The reason it's hard to see, but there is that star at the beginning of this. And I do that because when you're searching through your KV Core, things can get lost. The 3 stars make it the very top one. So I have around 30 that I currently work with. There's probably in yours about 150. Things can get lost if you don't use those. Just a footnote. It's the date that I'm sending it, because I'm sending it today. Email to database 1% inflation. That's actually not the title. I have to change that because I made a copy of this one, which is called Cloning It. That's the real title. Wow, Zillow just changed their tune about the market. What I just talked about, I put the image in here. Remember, the previous, in this Word document, which is available for you in GPS Global Partners in the daily download or in the chat, it'll show you how to make this template. I put the photo in there, key points. Read the article. How to do that is in there as well. And I obviously put in, we have a YouTube channel, so Jackie and I put this in there. And this is the below the line, which is stuff that is my email signature. This is our email signature all the time. Now, I have to change this real quick. It'll change their tune. I've changed the date, and I am going to clone this. So now this is locked in and saved. I'm going to send this out to my entire database. How I do that is very, very easy to do. You just go into into your CRM. And I can auto email it, or I can send it out to them just like it is, where I select them. I can go through and I literally select everybody by, once this populates in, I would select this button. I'm not going to do that though. I'm going to go into marketing. You'll see what I mean once this clears out. Wow, because I'm on Zoom, it's even slower than it normally is. That is one of the downfalls with KV Core. It does get slow. I want to show you how to do this though after it's done. What is the problem with this? I'll just get out of it, do it again. This is important, so I have to show this to you because I want you guys to get this. So let's see if it populates and opens. I'm sure it will at this point. Something's going on with the app, which does happen. I'm going to go to marketing, all marketing. It's on the side, so it's marketing, then all marketing. Schedule mass emails. Here's the cool part. Usually the template that will show up when you're scheduling is the last template you worked on, which is the one I just finished. I'll click on the schedule email button. I can select either by hashtags or however I want to do it, send to contacts by status. If there's spheres, whatever I want to do, I'm going to send this out to my buyers and my sellers. So I'm probably going to go with a regular search, but if you're sending it by hashtags to your center of influence, I would do that and then type in COI. And that's my COI. These all have numbers on them. I want my regular COI. Now I'm ready. And when it goes to template, it pops up. 01/29/2024. That's the one. Zillow changed its tune. I would click on that. Then I have to set my date. And it has to be within 24 hours ahead. So I would say the next day. And then I select my time. And let's say I want to send it out at 12 o'clock. Click schedule at the bottom, and that's ready to send. No, I'm not going to do mine that way. I have to go through because KV Core is acting a little bit wonky. I've got to go through all my contacts, and I'm selecting buyers and sellers through my filter, which is contact type. It'll have to populate first, and there we go. Buyer and seller, and scroll down, and then I'm going to apply filter. It's thinking again, which will take a couple of seconds. And when it's all said and done, I'm going to do this by making sure the drop down is 250 people. I select this. Email. Template. Oh, 129. I always date it what day I'm going to be sending it. That's the template. Wait for it to populate. And send. Wait for down here. Email's on the way. All right, that was my first 250. I have 306 people that actually qualify. This is important. Sorry to bother you, this slowing you down on this, I know, but it's really important you see how to do this. If you're going to send it out one right after another, what I'll do is I'll change this. Scroll down to the bottom. If you select 250, it does take a little bit more. Click the next. Takes a little more time. So the rest of this, the 251 to 306, I'm going to do the exact same exercise, and that way I've sent them to everybody. If you have them hashtagged COI, or if you have them hashtagged database or any other hashtag, you can do that by doing that hashtag, but I would not encourage that. I would only hashtag my centers of influence, my top 100, 200, or whatever the number is, and I would go through this exercise every couple of weeks. Same thing, email. And sorry to bore you to make you watch all of this, but I'm going to do it and I need to actually send it out. So that's populated. And it's sent. I just communicated with my entire database. I made an email template that you have available for you right now. You can tweak it, make it your own, change the we to I, because I used we since it represents Jackie and I. And that has gone out to my database of everybody that is important to me, buyer or seller, with information about what's going on in the market. I want to be an expert. I want to be the person that curates that information. If there's something specific I see in my Google alerts that's relevant to my particular area for my buyers, which chances are if they're coming from lead generation platforms, there's a good chance you may not actually have talked to them at all. So why wouldn't you send them something that sets you up as an expert? This is important because they will start to realize that you do know what's going on in the marketplace. And that, my friends, is what makes you the expert. All right, I have 6 minutes left, and I want to answer any questions you all have if you have some, or any comments that you have as well. Your database is your business. In every situation I have had, with very few exceptions, whoever runs their database has the longest life of their business. Whoever focuses on their database has the strongest business. And I guarantee you that your relationships, which are not just they know who I am, but where you're engaged in a relationship, will beat Zillow and any other marketing or branding expense, period. Okay, it's open for y'all. Any questions, any comments, any thoughts on that? Outstanding. I must have done a good job. GPSglobalpartners.com, on the very first page, down at the bottom left, daily downloads. It is also in the chat, so you can pull it off of there. There are tutorials and videos, the entire copy and paste database. Send it to everybody in your database. I mean, everybody. Nobody will be offended. And here's the secret. Let's say somebody says, oh my God, I don't want to get that. And they unsubscribe. Terrific. They don't know you. They don't care. You're not a friend. You're not in a relationship, and they're absolutely not loyal. You want them to unsubscribe. It's one less person you have to think about that doesn't think about you. So don't be worried about, oh my God, what if they go away? Who cares? The people that know you, like you, and respect you will realize it came from you. It's from George. Yeah, I'm not going to pay attention to it today. But when they do pay attention to it, they'll know that you're consistent. And if they're part of your sphere, you're really the people you're calling your centers of influence, they're also going to know you give a darn about them. And that is invaluable. I won't work with somebody that doesn't care about me. I work with relationships. I'll tell you a story. Maybe this will sink in. I used to buy a lot of my cars from CarMax. Now, I went in there the first time and I absolutely knew that somebody was going to take advantage of me, that I was going to get beat. They're better at it than I am. I know I was going to overpay. I know that they were making a profit at my expense. It is what it is. I knew that. And there was a young man in there who was awesome. And we got past it. I bought my first car and I went to him every time afterwards. And he kept in touch with me. At least once a quarter, he'd reach out to me. We need to be more than once a quarter. Okay, people make a buying and selling decision. By the way, my email just showed up because I am a person in my database so that I get all the emails and I know exactly what's being sent out to everybody. I always get one too. So you need to have a fictitious person. Mine's name is John Jacobson. And if it comes to John, it's really me sending everything. Anything I send out goes to me. Well, anyway, this gentleman keeps Barry is his name. Barry kept in touch with me for about 6 years. I bought 4 cars with him. Here's the ugly truth. Barry was a salesman. He's very good at what he did, but I trusted him because he and I had a relationship. So he's the person I would make sure got my business. And he kept in touch with me on a regular basis. But when the time came to buy a car, I'd go to Barry, not because I knew I could trust him, because he was still beating me. He still won. He was making money on me for sure. But we had at least a commonality, and that commonality earned my business. And he followed up. Are you doing the same with everybody? They need to know. For anybody that's brand new or relatively new, I want you to consider one last thing before I hop off. You are part of a group. You're part of the GPS Global Partners. You're part of whatever other group you happen to be with or whatever other team you are. But don't forget that I am a business partner of yours, and you can say with all candor and sincerity that you're not an I, you're a we. And I am glad to be part of your we. We meaning we together. I'm in business with you. Am I going to go on your listing appointments? More likely than not, I'm not, unless you're in Orlando because I'm here. But I am a partner of yours. So don't be singular. Don't be an island. You are a we. You are surrounded by the best of the best. You have business partners, a ton of them, and you are the tip of the sphere. Remember, you carry more power as a group than you do individually. I say we all the time because I have business partners that are phenomenal. And those business partners help me be better with my clients, the ones I'm currently working with closely. You should do the same thing. All right, go out there and tell somebody you love them, tell them they're important, that they matter. You will definitely make an impact. More importantly, you can save a life. Worst thing that will happen is you will feel very good about doing that, and they will feel very good that you did. That is the secret to database. That's the secret to basically anything. And you might want to try actually listening and paying attention to your significant other. You'd be amazed how it changes their perspective, and they will actually probably be much happier as well. Have a great day. God bless you. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 1 o'clock for the phone call. And don't forget The Godfather on Wednesday and Thursday. A young lady by the name of Jenny Weimer will be here at our 1 o'clock call, and she'll be talking about how she went from a single agent all the way up to a mega brokerage. She has a brokerage now with, I think, 60 real estate agents. They sold $400 million and counting. They are incredibly talented. And she built that over the last 20 years. So can you. She's going to tell you how. God bless you guys. See you real soon.